Hi guys, it's Phil, my one-man band here, and this is just a very quick tutorial on how I use the Korg Nanokey Studio with Korg's Gadget 2 app. Now, a lot of other tutorials I've seen use the native mode, which allows for a lot of the mapping of the buttons and things to be automatic, but I like to put it into advanced mode. So you do that in the settings, you basically just disable the native mode, and then that lets you access the advanced mode, and when it's connected, that then lets you assign different channels on the Nanokey Studios app to then have different channels doing different things within Gadget. So the way I've got mine set up, I'll just walk you through it. So the first thing that I've got that's maybe a bit different is I use the Touchpad as Helsinki or Kiev, so basically pad synths. I find that it's a little bit too imprecise. If I just take the attack down there, it can be done, but it's easy to get double triggers and stuff, so I find that the best way to use this effectively is to have patches that have got really quite high attack times, and then paint it more, like smear it with my fingers. And I also have the y-axis, the up and down axis, set to the filter. Now it's not 0 to 127, I start it from about 64, so it's always kind of middling to top, but that just lets me add in extra dynamics, which I find really useful. So that's kind of my go-to pad. And then the main body, the keyboard, I tend to use it in the easy scale mode, and I tend to use it actually with more than one synthesizer. So at the minute I'm running Marseille, and basically I have this bit set up so the first 4 knobs deal with whatever I use as my kind of bass layer. So knob 1 is just controlling volume, knob 2 is controlling reverb, knob 3 is controlling attack, which isn't that useful on the piano patch, and number 4 is controlling the release, which is very useful. So that's basically the first layer, and then also on channel 1 I also have Pompeii, and that deals with the second knobs here. So basically with Pompeii, let me just turn that one down, the first of the 4 deals with volume again, but then the one next to it deals with cutoff rather than effects, and then I've got attack and release on the bottom 2 again. So I find that having these two together lets me do really nice layered synths. If I just and that can be really useful, particularly with pads, because it means that held notes gradually swell into a second synth, whereas quick notes kind of miss that out. So that kind of thing. That's great for layering and lets me get access to a lot more sounds off one single piano keyboard. Now, I have asked Korg about the possibility of being able to map the chords to a different synth, which would be kind of even more flexible. They've not got back to me on that one just yet, but if I hear anything I'll let you know. And in the meantime, if you do want to do that, you can kind of fudge it by using you can set the octaves within the editor so that the chords are shifted either down or up quite considerably, and then use a second app like something like Loopy to define different keyboard layers and have these different keyboard layers sort of shifted apart so that they do send to different channels. So that's entirely an option there. Now, moving up to the pads, you've got 8 pads here, and I use them for mainly my drums, I use Recife here. And I tend to set them up so that they're just the bottom pads, just to make it easy to select my samples and know which ones are going to be playing. And then the other thing that's quite useful is you do have this chord pad, which I'm sure that other people do use as an extension of the chords, because it can have its own channel, so that could be a way of getting chords on a different synth. But I thought, well, I've already got chords here, and I've got the kind of ambient, high-pitched drone notes and stuff going on here, so I didn't really need more chord pads. So what I found as a kind of cheat is if you select a monophonic synth, something like Memphis, even though you're playing chords, it will only play one note. Now, a weird thing there is that by default it does get shifted along one, so if you wanted the bass note of a C major scale, instead of it being there, it's actually here, which is a bit of a pain, but once you know it's there, that's fine. So basically your 3 major notes are in an L shape backwards, and then the 3 minor notes are in a upside down L shape. So once you know that, it's not a problem, and I must admit I do quite like that for grabbing quick bass lines. I also use on the XY pad option rather than touch scale. I've got that set up to allow me to set the decay time and the cutoff of the bass pad. Just I found that is quite a useful second option to have there. So anyway, with all that together, if I just take that back off, the reason I wanted access to all these things at once was mainly because I really liked this idea that I could perhaps do a little bit more with just one thing all in real time. So for instance, something like that kind of thing. Anyway, so that's just a short demo of how I use the Nanokey Studio with Korg's Gadget 2 app, so I hope that's useful. If you did like the video, please just like and subscribe, and I'll be back with some more tutorials on how to use Gadget within Loopy with the Nanokey Studio. So until then, thank you very much. Goodbye.